How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi, host of Tear Talk, and today I'm going to give you 14 questions that should help identify if you are being manipulated by an inmate. It should help bring about self-awareness, and that is the key. Self-awareness. And these 14 questions come from the Correctional Compass. It's something that's released from the Florida Department of Corrections. I was going over some of my paperwork for one of my manipulation courses, and I saw these group of questions, and I said, you know what? Let me run these questions by you guys, see what your thoughts are on these questions. I think these are great questions that bring about self-awareness and help us identify the process of manipulation as opposed to waiting to the final outcome when it's too late. And this brings about, as I said, most importantly, self-awareness, and that's key. So when we come back from our sponsors, we're going to be talking about these 14 questions. I'm going to ask the questions out to you guys, and you guys give me your thoughts on these questions. Do you feel if these questions are good enough to bring about self-awareness and help us recognize the signs if we're in the process of being manipulated by an inmate? So again, guys, the show is for you, brave men and women that work in corrections. So if you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, hit that bell. That bell's going to notify you every time I post up a video. I stand by for our sponsors.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it, it's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Being a corrections officer takes its toll on even the strongest individuals. The constant need to perform at the highest level, putting your life at risk in a hostile environment, and the mental scarring of traumatic experiences. 31% of corrections officers show symptoms of PTSD, and 66% of people with PTSD also suffer with a substance abuse problem. The Transformations First Responders program is specially designed to help veterans and officers heal from the grips of addiction and PTSD in a comfortable, supportive, and serene setting. You are not alone. If you have questions about the services we offer, give us a call at 866-762-8454 to get more information on this affordable and life-changing program.
Thank you guys for listening to our sponsors. I think this is a great partner video that we're doing today with a video I did a few months ago where I asked the question, what should you do if you feel that your partner is being compromised? How should you approach that situation? And it was a great dialogue that we had back and forth because there were a lot of people that could relate to that question. So in here, I'm not so much focused on what another party should do. I'm more focused now on self-awareness, which is also needed because we know ourselves. We know ourselves the best. So I would expect my partner to know who they are and to get an understanding of games that could be played against them and hopefully have some type of defense. Having said that, manipulation is very hard to detect, as I mentioned, because it's about that process. And it's the only time when we're absolute about a staff member being compromised is when they're compromised, when that outcome has come. And I don't want to wait that long because that outcome could really affect the facility in a negative way. So we want to identify the process. So I don't want to just strictly put the onus on another party seeing it happening to someone else. I also want to put it back on the individual that may be compromised. These are things that you have to be aware of. So I think these questions really bring about a very good self-awareness. And I believe that these questions are something that you should ask yourself once in a while, just to make sure that you're not in the process of being manipulated. I believe that these 14 questions can really truly build up our self-awareness. And again, I'm trying to get us to recognize the signs of manipulation, that process. We don't want to wait for the outcome. We don't want to wait for the game to come to a conclusion because at that point we've lost. We want to recognize the process. And I believe these questions really bring about that self-awareness. So I'm curious as to how would you answer these questions, or why do you feel that these questions that I'm going to ask have an impact? Like, how do these questions have an impact in regards to my self-awareness? That is the key. And at the end of these 14 questions, I'm going to add one more that a lieutenant asked me a while back. And even though it came in the form of a question, it was great advice. It was something that he gave to everyone during one of his training classes. So the first 14 questions come from the Correctional Compass out of the Florida Department of Corrections. I believe the article was all about us. The first question asks is, am I overly friendly or familiar? I think that's a great question. Am I overly friendly or familiar? Second question is, do I appear gullible? Third question is, do inmates consider me too trusting? How does that have an impact? Am I excessively sympathetic? And guys, another question we can relate to this in regards to, am I excessively sympathetic? What's the difference between sympathy and empathy? Is it okay to be empathetic towards an inmate? We'll love to ask you that question, so feel free to comment your answer on that below. Is my enforcement of the rules consistent? Do I handle compliments in a non-professional or embarrassing manner? And guys, you know what's funny is we covered a lot of these questions in my other videos, so this is good that we're still continuing that momentum. I love it because these are great questions to ask, and it really does reflect back from the videos that we've been building in the year and change I've had this channel. Do I share personal information with inmates? Have I been known to forget to check the validity of inmate information and stories? Have I been known to forget to check the validity of inmate information and stories? It's a great question. That's a very good question. Do I sometimes let issues slide that should be addressed immediately? Do I have difficulty with command, control, or saying no? It's a good question. Do I circumvent minor rules? It's another good question. Can I be made to feel obligated? Guys, I did a whole video on obligation. You gotta watch that because I'm actually gonna do another one coming up. And the last one is, am I easily distracted? Now, those are the 14 questions that are given us through the Correctional Compass, which comes out of Florida Department of Corrections. I have one more I want to add. Do you think about an inmate when you're at home? That's a very important question. Do you think about an inmate when you're at home? I don't care what the thoughts are about, whether it's about a sports game, whether it's about some romantic attraction, whatever the case may be. Do you think about an inmate when you're at home? Because at the end of the day, I give you the answer to that one. If you're thinking about an inmate when you're at home, no matter what the thoughts may be, you're too involved. You're too involved. So guys, have fun. Answer some of these questions. Give me your thoughts. If you feel you can add a question, please do. And remember, I want to get your answer on what's the difference between empathy and sympathy. And how can that relate to our job? Just curious. As always, guys, the show is Tier Talk. Love you guys. The show is dedicated to you brave men and women that work behind that wall and corrections. So please, if you haven't subscribed, interact, engage, and hit that bell. The bell's going to notify you every time I post up a video. All right, guys, stay safe.